Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, the Anime Ambu here, coming back at you, part 45 of What If Naruto Was Like Minato, otherwise known as Return of the Flash on Wattpad. And if you want to read the story for yourself or don't like the way that I narrate things, that's totally cool, that's totally fine. The top link in the description will bring you to the story. The other link in the description will bring you to the Discord server. That was created for you guys, the subscribers, and it is for your gain and benefit. So I hope that you guys utilize that. If you are subscribed to the channel, it would also be a way of supporting me and showing that you are listening to these little beginning bits. And with that out of the way, like, comment, and subscribe. I try to respond to all comments, heart all comments, and like all comments. If I miss yours, I apologize. It's not intentional. And with all that extra stuff out of the way, let's hop right on into the video. Alright, so without further ado, let's get on with this long-awaited video that I have been waiting for, and I know you have been waiting for. Sorry, there's my fan. Yo. Sorry, my fan's acting up. But yeah, let's get on with this long-awaited video. I know you guys have been waiting for it, and I've been waiting for it too. My computer just started working, so let's just do it while we can. This village was the shinobi village of Kaminari no Kuni, the land of lightning. Its leader was called the Raikage, literally meaning the lightning shadow. The current Raikage was known as A, and right now he was staring at the destroyed furniture in his office, thinking about the latest news his spy had delivered. Uzumaki Naruto was the one and only son of Namikaze Minato. At first, A's interest was aroused by the fact alone that an Uzumaki had survived and was living in Konoha right now. Uzushiogakure no Sato had been completely destroyed in the Second Great War, with the combined efforts of Kumo and Iwa. Of course, a few scant survivors might have managed to escape, but it's not as if they can do anything. Then came the Third War, in which Kumo had lost badly, but not as badly as Iwa did. Konoha Namikaze Minato had single-handedly secured Konoha's victory in the war. The man had earned the entire shinobi world's fear and grudging respect of a few. In fact, Minato came to be so feared that while the man's short reign as the Yondaime Hokage, no village even dared to look at Konoha with the intent of fighting it. The world was aware of what happened to Iwa's forces, and no one wanted the wrath of the Yellow Flash to be directed at them. But 13 years ago, the legendary Flash had died in fighting to save his village from the Kyuubi. Contrary to what many people in his village felt, it held a great respect for Minato. He was the only one to completely outspeed and blindside him in their single fight against each other in the war. A respected strength, and Minato had proven himself stronger and was way faster than him. And considered Minato his rival, and was understandably upset when the only person who could give him a run for his speed left the world. But looking at the situation from a political angle, it meant that Konoha no longer had the mighty Yellow Flash in their hands, and Iwa had rejoiced at the death of the man. But now he was hearing this, a blonde boy no older than 13 with azure eyes named Uzumaki Naruto, a genin of Konoha who had been participating in the Chunin exams as a student of Hatake Kakashi, the copy ninja, and he was a non-entity to his spy until it was announced that Uzumaki Naruto was the son of the Yondaime Hokage, and he was powerful, more so than most of the Jonin his spy was saying. This Naruto had trumped a Hyuga and Taijutsu like it was nothing, and had used Fuin Jutsu and the Hiraishin in great conjunction to take out Suna's Jinchuriki. All in all, Uzumaki Naruto spelled trouble for the nations. The boy was clearly powerful, and coupled with the Hiraishin, could match some of the world's greatest shinobi. If he was allowed to get even more powerful, the balance of power among the nations could dangerously tip in Konoha's favor. But even knowing this, A could not afford to go to war with Konoha, even if his military was much larger than the other villages. Much as he hated to admit, if Kumo had quantity, then Konoha had quality. He sat down in his chair and thought. Right now, the news was that Suna had decided to regain its alliance with the Leaf by using the old tradition of an arranged marriage. Sabaku no Tamari, the daughter of the Yondaime Kazekage, had been set to marry Uzumaki Naruto. No doubt, not only would the marriage cement their alliance, but the offspring of the two would no doubt be powerful. But he had to take into account the Leaf as well. For all its powerful shinobi, the Leaf was not a proactive village. They never made the first moves in any great war. For now, he would keep the boy in check. It was all he could do right now. And that's a little cut. Iwagakure was a village that harbored feelings of great hate toward the Hidden Leaf. Ever since the Third Great War ended, the Tsuchikage Onoki resented the Leaf. Onoki was old but powerful in terms of shinobi strength, the only one in the world with Jinton, the Dust Release. Onoki relied on the Dust Release far more than he cared to admit. He was a shinobi who had seen all three great wars and had lived through them. But of the three, the third war was the one he hated the most because of the crushing, humiliating defeat that suffered at the hands of just one man from Konoha, Namikaze Minato. The blow to Iwa's pride along with its forces was so large that Iwa had yet to fully recover from it. Onki hated the man with all his being at first, but after 2 years of heavy dwelling, he found that Namikaze Minato had done what anyone would have done in his place. Namikaze Minato had protected his home. It was a war, and losses were dealt to both sides. While Iwa suffered the heaviest, all the villages that were fighting to survive. Konoha just happened to have a card that was better than theirs. Holding on to grudges like that did no one any good. Namikaze Minato deserved his rest after what he did to protect his village, so Onoki just did the wise thing. He let his irrational hatred go. Yes, that is the wisest thing. Let it go. Of course, that could not be said for the whole village. Countless had lost their families due to the slaughter Namikaze had brought upon them. His own granddaughter was one such example. Kurosuchi lost her mother in the war and had blamed it all on the Namikaze. Onoki honestly was worried for her mental health. Blaming a man who was just doing his job was hardly fair after all. And now there was this news. His spy had delivered the news of the utmost importance. Apparently the Yellow Flash had a child whose name was Uzumaki Naruto. At first, Onoki couldn't believe the message. When he did, he had just collapsed onto his chair in disbelief. He had seen the power of Namikaze Minato, and he was not interested in seeing it again. At first, he would have happily given the order to assassinate the boy and his recently known fiancé to make sure that every trace of Namikaze Minato was wiped off the face of the world. But now, he was content to just keep his distance. He knew that Namikaze lived by a code. As long as you kept your distance and didn't harm his close ones, he was content to leave you alone as well. I look forward to what you become, Uzumaki Naruto. Or Namikaze Naruto? Unfortunately, he forgot to safely put the documents. Okay. So, he called him Namikaze Naruto, not Uzumaki Naruto, which I guess technically isn't wrong, but we all know. Alright, let's continue. It had been 4 days since Temari came to Konoha, and those 4 days were some of the most enjoyable days of Naruto's life. He was off duty on strict orders by Tsunade. Naruto had no problem with it, using his time to either train with the Sand siblings or work on his newest sealing project he found in his father's study. Training with Temari was fun. Because they hadn't trained together since the Chunin exams, they both enjoyed every second of it. It was clear that Naruto held the upper hand in taijutsu due to his speed and reflexes. Tamari had, on more than one occasion, suspiciously asked him and his friends whether Naruto had a bloodline that allowed him to be this fast at his age, because no other shinobi of his age was that fast. They had spent more time together than before. They could be seen together training on one of the training grounds sometimes, or just taking a walk around the village, or eating ichirakus. Even though his marriage to Tamari gave Naruto plenty of good reasons to spend more time with him, he unfortunately had become a victim of his friends, or worse, Jiraiya's teasing. He had accomplished quite a bit in 4 days that she or her brothers had been in Konoha. He had talked to Tamari about how their relationship would progress, if they could make it work or not, and followed by an extremely blank. We're not going to finish that statement. And they had been having a lot of those recently. Most of them were either in the house when they were alone, or sometimes in the training grounds. They even had 2 of them in an alleyway. Just like any teenage couple with raging hormones. That's kind of facts, yeah. Kurama had made himself a cave in his mind to block it all out. They had been steadily getting bolder with each other, and Naruto knew that it wouldn't be long before Naruto shook his head violently, trying to get rid of the blush that had formed on his face. He was on an errand, and quite a serious one, because he needed to talk to both Jiraiya and Tsunade about this, if his father's notes were anything to go by. The journal was about something that Naruto would never have expected from his father. It was filled with the last page of his sealing equations and math. all of which required a constant study from Naruto's clones over 2 days. In the end, it all came down to one thing. Namikaze Minato had used Fuinjutsu to successfully enhance the human body, namely his own. Now, if it were any other person, Naruto's pretty sure he would have set the book on fire with a Katon Jutsu, then shut the ashes in a box and then fried the box. But this was his father he was talking about here. The Yondaime Hokage, the Yellow Flash, one of the greatest seal masters and shinobi to ever live. One can't just throw away the work of a genius like that. On the first day, the day after they came, he had fixed Gaara's seal with Jiraiya's help. To say that the seal was a shoddy piece of work was the greatest understatement ever. He had examined the seal after removing the Gogyo Fuin he had put over it. Oh, yeah, because he put the seal over it during the tuning exams. Sorry. There was no other way to say it. Naruto had been mad. So mad off he was that he had destroyed almost half the training ground in rage. He wanted to find whoever made that insult to Fuinjutsu and raze them into the ground. He wanted to make them suffer because they had deliberately made Gaara suffer. The seal was designed such that it barely kept Shukaku inside, which was most probably the reason for Gaara's insomnia. Shukaku had more control over Gaara than Gaara had over him. The seal was meant to grant Gaara all of Shukaku's abilities from the very beginning itself, even if they didn't have any friendship like his and Kurama's between them. It was a process of 7 hours to fix the seal. First, Naruto and Jiraiya figured out a way to safely remove the seal without setting Shukaku free, and then Naruto had used his father's and mother's notes about seals for Jinchuriki. Chose a seal that would work on Gaara. He didn't even think about using the 8 trigram seal once. The seal Naruto had chosen to replace Gaara's seal was a bit more simple. He had asked Gaara whether he still wanted to access Shukaku's powers, because that was, after all, what he had based his selection of the seal on. After a deliberation with his siblings, Gaara had told him that he didn't want any more access to that power, if it meant losing his mind and sanity in the process. And Naruto doubted Shukaku was willing to get along with the humans. But if Gaara were to ever run out of chakra, he would have no backup to fall on, as is the perk for all Jinchurikis. So in the end, Naruto tweaked the seal a little, placing a limit and an additional gate on it, without compromising the rest of it. The gate would allow a certain amount of Biju chakra to flow through the seal, the amount being determined by the limiter. After the limit had been reached, the limiter would shut the gate off. Like that, Gaara would have a backup supply to fall back on without ever needing to interact with Shukaku. I mean, you could try, but I don't know, man. I feel like Shukaku was weird. I don't know. I don't got too many memories of Shukaku. He wasn't that active like that. Peter and Lowry arguing like it's play. Oh, that's funny. The actual practical part of the process only took 1 hour. First, Jiraiya would remove the seal. Naruto using a weak but temporary seal to hold Shukaku from escaping, while Jiraiya applied the new improved seal. Since the seal was temporary and therefore very weak, it required an enormous amount of chakra to be held and placed against the tailed beast. The job was given to Naruto because he possessed those monstrous reserves of chakra. But even for someone like Naruto, whose chakra reserves were like an ocean among ponds, the job was hard. When Jiraiya had finally finished applying the seal, Naruto had almost run out of chakra, which was a first for him. He had fallen unconscious just as the new seal had activated. When he woke up, he found himself not for the first time in a room in the hospital. Tsunade had proceeded to yell at him for making her worry like that. Then she almost broke his bones by hugging him to death. She then proceeded to tell him that he had been unconscious for a good 5 hours because he had nearly emptied his chakra tank. After getting released, he went back to his house with Temari, who had been in tears, though, of joy or worry. Naruto hadn't been able to tell. Flashback. Okay, so we've got a flashback, guys. Alright. Naruto had just flashed back to his home's living room when he was tackled by a blonde blur straight into the couch. It took him 1 second to realize that the sobbing person hugging him was his soon-to-be wife. He just sighed in relaxation and wrapped his arms around her, returning the hug. Tamari hadn't stopped worrying about Naruto from the moment he had fallen unconscious. She had so badly wanted to rush over to him, but Shizune held her back forcefully, telling her that Tsunade-sama wanted to make sure that Naruto was alright. Although she assured Tamari that Naruto had probably fallen unconscious due to chakra exhaustion, even if that did little to assure her, she failed to mention the extreme part. For Tamari, it felt like every second was a long minute. For Naruto showed no signs of waking up at all. Tsunade had ordered her to go back home after her 4th hour of staying in the room. She had assured her that she would be the first person Tsunade would send Naruto to after she had discharged him. You had me completely worried, she whispered as she clone to him. I'm not saying that last word. Yeah. Guys, listen. I made my mistake once. There's stuff on my computer. I made my mistake once. We all know about the part. I think it's like part 17 or 18, something like that. We all know about that part. Everybody that's watching this video probably knows that part. But I'm not doing it again. We're not making that mistake. I'll go a little bit, but I won't go over the edge. I'm not doing that again. So don't worry about it. I will do my best to like limit the stuff that gets like said. So let's continue. Naruto placed a soft on her head. Removing a seal is tricky business, Tamari. Holding a Biju back from escaping even more so. I told you that before we began the procedure, you know. But you never told me you would almost empty your chakra reserves. Naruto chuckled as he adjusted her on his lap so she was facing him more comfortably. Her eyes were red from crying and tear tracks had formed on her cheek. A lone tear made its way down, only to be wiped away by him. Well, I was holding a Biju back, so my chakra reserves had to take a hit. Tamari smiled and just leaned into him, wrapping her arms around his neck. You don't get to worry me like that, Naruto. Naruto wrapped his own arms around her. I know, I'm really sorry, but this is one of the times that it just can't be helped. Sometime in the future, something might happen to you, and I would lose my head and give you the same lecture you're giving me now. After a moment pause, he continued in a more positive tone. Look on the bright side. Gaara will be able to sleep to his heart's content. I look forward to not seeing him look like an actual raccoon. Tamari couldn't help but chuckle. You're right. He'll finally be able to sleep after years of insomnia. Naruto smiled, just nodding in reply. They just enjoyed each other's company for the moment. Gaara was under observation for now to check if the seals hold with Kankuro with him. There was a very slim chance of the seals breaking, though. Naruto had made sure of that. Apparently, Tamari also realized the absence of her brothers, for she leaned away from him, giving him a coy look. I think I haven't thanked you properly enough, Naruto, for doing such a favor to Gaara. He shivered as he leaned in, and yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing that either. How about we just pass the time for now? Something that had followed was the most intense one they had, and the first one in which they had reached new heights, while the height they could have without, the excitement and thrill had broke the roof that evening. Okay, listen, guys. If you want to know what they're talking about explicitly, because I kind of want to just get back to the fighting and stuff, but we're not gonna apparently. But okay, if you guys want to know what they're talking about, I'll leave you a link in the description for this chapter. We're on chapter. All right, please scroll. We're on chapter 24, in the beginning a little bit. So if you want to know what they're doing and conversating about and explicitly explaining, you can read this for yourself. But I told you, I made my mistake once. I'm not doing it twice. I'm not doing it twice. We're not doing it again. I'm sorry. It's not happening. But you can read it for yourself. I'll leave you a link. Yeah, I'm skipping over that too. Anyway, the day was over with Naruto and Tamari having dinner together, for Gaara was staying at the hospital for at least one more day. The second day is a bit of mystery for both you readers and Tamari. Naruto had left the house very early, leaving his clones to prepare breakfast for the siblings with a message that there was something very important that Naruto had to do, and as such, he would be busy the whole day. Tamari had been quite upset about that, because she enjoyed the training sessions she and Naruto had. Every session, she learned something new, either about shinobi skills or just about Naruto himself. She had asked the clone just what Naruto was doing, but the clone said that they had been instructed to keep it a secret. Tamari had not been pleased, but relented. She had then gone out to find Naruto's friends to spend some time to get to know them. The first person she met was the pink-head Sakura. Why would you meet her first? Okay. She had first spotted her on one of the training grounds. Sakura had offered to show her around if she liked, to introduce her to Naruto's friends, and Tamari accepted the offer and tagged along. Let's just say that it was a very long day and leave it at that. Naruto, on the other hand, had gone to conduct some extremely personal business. He figured that since he was about to get married, might as well follow the tradition. The third day, he had introduced Tamari to his summons. She had already been familiar to Raiden. Wait, who are his summons again? He doesn't have toads, right? Does he have foxes? Something, I don't know. To Raiden, but he let her get to know him a bit more. She would be seeing a lot of him after all. Finding out that Raiden now had a new tail. Yeah. It's a fox. It's a fox. Now had a new tail, though. He introduced her to Raiden's brother as well, Toshi. Raiden's elder brother, who was a part of the trackers of the Kitsune. As a tracker, his size and power would be restricted to 3 tails, for he was not a fighter, unlike Raiden, who would grow up to be as big as his father. Toshi had been a quiet, serious personality with a light sense of humor that shone through when he was not training or on a mission. However, he was extremely good at what he did. At first, Naruto had doubted that he could form a friendship with Toshi like he did with Raiden, but that doubt had been quickly washed away, and they had bonded. Toshi was a pretty cool guy in the short time that Naruto had known him, and he had a lot of stories to tell about his job as one of the trackers and as the brother of Raiden. Him and Tamari had not bonded as fast as he did with Naruto, but that was understandable considering Tamari already had a summons. She has a summon? Yo, wait. What's Tamari's summon? Yo, what is her summon? Bro. Kamatari? What's Kamatari? Wait a minute. Sorry, guys. Let me Google this. Kamatari. What is that? Oh, it's a weasel. She's got a weasel. What? Oh, that's pretty tight. All right, my bad. The fourth day, that was today, Naruto had an important errand to run. He had discussed with Tamari the rules that concerned his study. Right now, he had not given her the password because the mechanism behind it was a little tricky and took time to explain. But he would once he was done with the errand. He arrived at Tsunade's office, knocking the door thrice. Once he heard her permission to enter, he opened the door, finding her and Jiraiya talking, well, more like bickering. Tsunade looked annoyed by the fact that Jiraiya kept using one of her windows to enter, while Jiraiya honestly looked insulted at the thought of using doors. But Naruto knew that no matter what happened to Jiraiya, he would never stop using windows to enter rooms. He liked annoying people that way. Naruto, Jiraiya explained, briskly walking over to him and wrapping an arm around him, almost dragging him in front of Tsunade's table. Tell her how insulting it is to use doors when you're a ninja. No, I will not. Naruto sighed in exasperation. Better you than me at the end of her fist. Tsunade smirked while Jiraiya gasped, looking betrayed. How could you, Naruto? Can we please just get to business? I'd rather finish as quickly as possible and spend the rest of the day with Tamari instead of some old people. As he expected, Tsunade was the only one that took offense to the comment of old. Jiraiya, on the other hand, seemed to have not heard it at all. Instead, he focused his attention on the other part of the statement. His mouth stretched into a perverse line. Oh, spend the day with her how? A fist crashing on top of his head, courtesy of the blonde female. That's none of your business. Naruto gave a thankful nod to her as Jiraiya grumbled and fell in line with him, both standing in front of the Hokage's table. Tsunade took her seat while he and Jiraiya stood. So Naruto, what is it you want to discuss so badly? In an answer, Naruto just took out a storage scroll from one of his pockets in his Jonin vest and unsealed the contents, which was his father's journal. The effect was instantaneous. Both the faces of the adults hardened into serious and quick as a flash. Tsunade flashed her hand seals that sealed the room completely. All the Anbu were outside and Jiraiya was beside him in an instant. Where'd you get that? The question was asked with such gruffness that it surprised Naruto. The man had never seemed more serious than before. It seemed, however, that these two had knowledge of what was written in the journal. Tsunade also seemed equally, if not more serious than Jiraiya. Naruto put the journal on the desk and answered, I found it in my study. Your study? Tsunade quirked an eyebrow. Naruto deadpanned her. It was my father's study, but since he's not here, it's now mine. But that's not relevant. Yeah, assert your dominance. It's your house. He motioned to the journal. What do you know about that? He quickly got annoyed, though, when he saw hesitation on their face as clear as water. Well, clear water, not clear water. Like, as clear as a glass cup with clean water. Yeah. He narrowed his eyes, folding his arms across his chest. I'm waiting. It was Minato's pet project ever since he got the idea in his head that the human body could be enhanced without drawbacks. Jiraiya's answer... Oh, I thought that was... My bad. Jiraiya's answer only increased Naruto's curiosity and irritation. I already know that, he snapped. You don't think I've read the journal and studied it? Ever since the delegate from Suna had arrived, I have had my clones do the studying for me to understand one of my father's masterpieces. What I want to know is whether he actually performed it on himself or did not. He did. Naruto released a breath, giving them a look to continue. Tsunade continued. Jiraiya told me that it was only a stray idea that popped into Minato's head one day. He wanted to know if seals were capable of pushing the human body beyond the peak of its highest potential. He wanted to create something like a super soldier, Naruto whispered in amazement. Jiraiya nodded. That's exactly what he wanted to do, but I had firmly told him that it was not possible. No matter how versatile Fuinjutsu is, the seal required for what he wanted to achieve simply didn't exist. Not to mention, even if he succeeded in creating such seals, hypothetically, what would he test them upon? Naruto shook his head. It was an impossible task to create an entirely new series of seals that would work together to enhance the human body beyond its limit. But again, your father treated the word like he had never heard of it. A fond yet impossibly proud look at the same time came upon his face. It took him 4 years of work on the seal, along with Kushina, to perfect it. Not only that, but he had created an entirely new type of clone to test the seal on. Okay, so now they've introduced something called the blood clone. Yes. Okay. Oh, we're 25 minutes in. All right, cliffhanger. Yeah, you got to come back. Now listen, I'm not dropping this video until the Bell video hits 1,000. So I know you guys are commenting and waiting and getting mad at me and yelling at me in the comment section below to drop new videos. But it's not happening until we hit 1,000 on the other video. I probably should have said that in the first video, but I'm not going to, and I'm just going to wait and see how long. Now, this little break that I'm taking from making videos while I'm waiting for the 1,000 view mark, I don't know how long it's going to take. And honestly, that's fine, because if it takes a little while, I just work on school. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm looking forward to releasing this. There's a lot of good stuff in this video. I'm not saying the explicit rated R content. It's not happening. If you want to read the story for yourself, you already know. Link in the top description. Other link in the description brings you to the Discord server. Please join the Discord server. It's made for your guys' benefit, and I hope that you guys utilize it. It is a tool that was made through a lot of work from a lot of different people that I'm very appreciative for, and it is something that I enjoy looking at. So I hope that you guys join that. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Consider clicking that subscribe button so that you can sub to the channel. I appreciate that. It would mean a lot. I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers. That would be pretty cool. I think it would be pretty cool if I hit 3,000. Just saying, it would be kind of nice. I hope you do got. Oh Lord, can't speak. I'm just gonna cut it in a second. I hope you enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, like I just said. And without further ado, this is your boy, the Anime Ambu, and I am out. Deuces.